This is impossible to ignore, guys. It's impossible to ignore. It's impossible to ignore. Apparently, it's not, though, because the public is starting to give Biden points that his disapproval rating on inflation is coming down, and they're just pissed. They got to keep it up. Got to keep that volleyball in the air.
Welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. There's a lot about modern economic theory that's important but difficult.
Yeah, nothing makes America poorer faster than inflation. Okay, our monetary system is inflationary by its very nature. We loan money into existence using federal banks. We pay it back using interest. That is inflationary. It is nonstop inflationary. That's how it works. But I'm sure he'll explain that.
You understand. In fact, many of the people formulating these theories don't.
By the way, whoever works at Fiverr, great work. I have to say, the money looks like it's falling, so it kind of counteracts the lightning bolt, Joe versus the volcano arrow that you have here, Inflation Nation, which everybody's used at least 15 times in the last 2 weeks. But it looks like someone's making it rain. I don't know that this is what you're going for, but all right.
Understand them, and that's why they can never explain anything clearly. But there is one core economic.
Yes, no one explains things clearly like Tucker Carlson. But here we go. This is the
fact that everybody, even those of us with poor math skills, grasp instantly. And that's when we're getting poorer. How do you know when you're getting poor? Well, you know you're getting poor when you don't have enough money to do the things that you once did. You are moving.
Right. Like Trump has to start working, has to shuffle around dark money with his super PAC, change the name and the entire people there without selling off its assets so that he can take in more money because his facilities aren't earning enough to keep them afloat. You mean like that, or?
Backward. It is a very scary feeling. Short of armed robbery, nothing makes Americans poorer faster than inflation does. Now,
well, no, I would argue, if I may, there's one thing that will make you poorer than inflation or even armed robbery, and that is death. Because nothing makes it difficult to enjoy your spending habits, like being dead from COVID, for example. And if you haven't noticed, the number of deaths in Trump country from COVID is at a higher percentage rate than the number he's going to bring up about inflation. We're also who wants to place a bet that this dickhead is going to bring up year over year inflationary numbers?
It's moguls who borrow money for a living love inflation. It makes their debt cheaper. It's a good thing for them. But everyone else hates it because it crushes them in ways that are very obvious day to day.
By the way, the reason Tucker Carlson is pissed and why the right wing is angry about a bunch of this stuff is because gold is taking a shit right now. Hold on. Let's see if I can bring this up. Let's see. Let's see news about it. Yeah, there you go. 0.2%. They're expecting. There you go. Gold steadies as investors prepare for Fed taper timeline. This is what they're waiting on. This is December 13th. Gold steadied on Monday as the market focus pivoted to this week's Federal Reserve meeting to learn how quickly it plans to unwind economic support measures introduced in response to the coronavirus pandemic. They're hoping that the taper is fast.
That in mind, the new inflation numbers are out, and they're the worst this country has seen in nearly 40 years.
Wait, I'm sure you're going to bring up who was president, when it happened, what the year before that was like, and tell us about the pandemic of 1981, Tucker. Fuck, we dealt with this already. Like, dude's like 4 days behind the news on this.
According to the Consumer Price Index, inflation is up almost 7% over the...
Oh my God. It was supposed to be up 7% and it actually started going down. Oh my God. And the Consumer Price Index, is the reason we use that is because we get to jack up the cost of everything else by adding used cars and gasoline.
Last 12 months. It's very high. The problem is The reality is much worse than that. And that's because...
Whoa. Oh, it's the here comes. The reality is way worse. You think it's just 6.8% and year over year. So it's really up maybe, 2% from 2019, including the dip. And it doesn't feel as bad. And consumer demand is through the roof. And it was a great Black Friday and Christmas sales are up. And consumer demand is through the roof, even if consumer confidence is low because they've been told all this bullshit about what that number means and assholes who can't tell the difference year over year normally to year over year based on a pandemic.
The consumer index is useless as a guide to life in America. It doesn't actually measure the cost of living.
See, this is, by the way, this is Fox News being very disappointed that it's not scaring people the way it's supposed to.
It is a lie. It's a rigged government number, one of many. Now, the CPI is calculated by assigning relative weight to different categories of goods. It's a very complex series of formulas. Some of them were formulated in good faith. Others were designed to deceive you. But
what? And I guarantee Tucker's numbers today are not designed to deceive us, folks. So rest assured.
In effect, the bottom line is the CPI does a very bad job of measuring how much it actually costs to live in this country. For example, gas prices.
Does it? By the way, Tucker, real quick, is there a CPI for what it costs to not live in this country? Yes, there is. It's called the Freedom Index, and I don't see you moving anytime soon. And by the way, he's mad because things he wants to buy with his millions of Swanson dollars are getting more expensive, while for the rest of us, normal stuff is getting more getting relatively better compared to our socioeconomic level, and that's making Tucker angry. Tucker is the target of the new taxes and Build Back Better. So he's in the 0.1%. He's a multimillionaire because of what he makes at Fox News every year, just like Sean Hannity, and he's an heir to the Swanson fortune.
Gas prices constitute less than 4% of the total value of the products included. Now, that's realistic if you happen to live in, say, Manhattan, where pretty much nobody drives a car. But if you have...
Pretty much nobody drives a car. Dude, Manhattan is all Ubers and taxis. You pay a surcharge to park or use other cars. You also pay a city tax on top of it that goes into that amount of money that pays to keep the trains running and the buses running so that you don't have to have a fucking car.
And you drive more than a few miles to work every day, that's ridiculous because for you, gas prices are a far larger part of your budget. And yet all of this is ignored by the CPI.
No, it isn't. And in rural areas, gas is cheaper than it is in Manhattan. Always has been.
You don't need to be an economist to understand this. The bottom line is these are not accurate numbers.
Yeah, see, we've been trying to tell you that I'm going to use these numbers to scare the shit out of you and make you think the world is collapsing, but you can't really trust them because I understand that while you're upset, you're not that upset. See, we need you to, we love all this shit that you might in 2024 vote for somebody else. That's all well and good. We need you to do to the United States of America and the Capitol what some rando asshole did to our Christmas tree.
But they were put together by people who we consider very smart. So you have to ask yourself, why are these numbers inaccurate? Think about it. The Consumer Price Index measures the downside of federal economic policy. So let's say you printed too many US dollars. You wanted to fund useless programs and pay off your donors.
I see. So let's, by the way, I like the way you're characterizing it. It doesn't sound slanted at all. Let's see, US dollar. Whoops. Now, one of the things when you have too many dollars, one of the problems you have when you have too many dollars is the dollar gets weak. Think the Japanese yen, 50,000 yen for a color TV or something when it's the use of it goes down so much you need more and more of them, and then you got to print more and more of them, and it widens out, and then Why don't you just shave a number off and start from scratch? We all really know you're talking about $500. Why do you have to say 50,000 yen? I mean, it's silly. That's what happens when you weaken it, when you overprint, when you have too much. If you print too much money, if you're printing money all the time, then, oh, shit. Wait a minute. I thought we printed all this money and therefore the dollar's worth was going down, and that inflation was caused not by supply chains or distribution or Americans being willing to pay a premium for stuff that the rest of the world is trying to get, and we're going to pay a little extra so we get it first because we're the wealthiest country on the planet. It couldn't be that inflation's driven by that. It has to be driven by the fact that the dollar is oh shit. Now, factor this in, if you will. What have you been hearing? You think Baby Hal needs to tell Tucker off? That might be true. What have you been told? Printing money. We've been printing money. We're just printing money. We're just making money. We're printing money. And the thing that printing is a money printer. They turn the money printers on. They're just throwing money into the system. And the money being thrown into the system is being thrown into the system. Never mind the fact that it's being thrown into the system in a way that actually benefited individuals and finds its way back into the economy and then back into larger companies that end up doing either stock buybacks and all that kind of stuff. And the money gets put back into treasuries or securities that end up being bought back and destroyed, effectively tightening monetary policy through a back door. But that's it's math from the bad, the smart people doing dumb things. If you have too much of something, is it worth more or less? That's the easiest way I can explain to you. If the idea is that you have way too much of something in a system, what's its worth based on? The dollar rose to 16-month highs on Monday thanks to the Federal Reserve, and it could go even higher. The U.S. dollar index, a measure of the greenback against a basket of 6 beers, rose 0.1% Monday to more than 95.2. The dollar has surged around 1.2% over the last 5 days, 2.8% over the last month, and 5.9% across the whole year. Now, if you're just shopping at the market and they're trying to make money off of you, the inflation story is a great way to get, if you just hear it's gone up 6.8%. It's 6.8%. Inflation's gone up 6.8%. The weight of your dollar, if you're buying stuff internationally, though, is up 5.9%. Is there a version of the index that subtracts this from inflation? If you were starting a company, borrowing money, trying to finance that, the goods that you would need, buying commodities, which are also going down in price, the dollar remains at its highest level since July 2020. Analysts see likely the Fed, and by the way, remember, because they're dumping money. The guys have been pouring money all summer long last year. The Democrats wanted to, force Trump to sign these bills that dumped millions and billions of dollars into the thing. Analysts see it likely that the Fed will raise interest rates sooner rather than later this year, which is a measure supportive of the dollar. Most expectations are for a first rate hike in July. Yes. Especially given the signs U.S. inflation is gathering pace. The CPI data last week showed inflation rising more than expected. October marking the 6th straight month with year-over-year inflation above 5%, which is the fucking problem. This is just dumb. Year-over-year only works if last year was normal, this year is normal, and next year is normal. Last year, I had a house, or 2 years ago, I had a house. Last year, it was hit by a meteor. This year, I have 100% more hole where my house used to be. That sounded bad. Money machine. Look at this too. Money machine. Look at that. That's the printing press. There it is. There's too much of it, guys. There's too much money. They're just dumping money. None of this money needs to be used anywhere in the world to pay back bonds or any of that stuff. People the world over aren't using it as a trusted currency. The United States is on its downward slope. That's what you got to believe, folks. Importers want a weaker dollar so they, or a strong dollar so they can buy goods. And that's pissing the sedentary folks off. What a jackass.
Did that, you would devalue your own currency, you would cause inflation. Over time, you would impoverish your own population. Those would be the effects. But of course, you would want to hide those effects. You'd instead want to tell everybody that thanks to you, the economy is great. And the consumer.
They're not even bothering to say that. They're just saying the economy is great. They're not even taking the victory lap they should be taking.
Price index allows politicians to do that. The CP.
Yeah, politicians in general. I mean, Trump did it. When he did it, it was cool. When Biden does it, and he's not even really doing it, he's just saying, yeah, the economy's strong, and we believe in the American people and their resilience.
Allows reckless, economically illiterate leaders to hide the mess they have made. It's a conflict of interest if there ever was one. It's like putting Bernie Madoff in charge of the audit committee.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And that would lead, of course, to the dollar tanking, and the Fed would just have to lower interest rates to negative numbers just to say, oh shit, right. That was the path we were on last year when Trump wanted negative interest rates. Remember that? Trump wanted the Fed, thereby the U.S. taxpayer, to pay to have money printed. Not loan it out and get interest back on the people that use it in a bond situation. No, the taxpayer would pay for it, and then the bond would be put out, and then they'd pay it back. All right. Derp.
What do you think's going to happen if you do that? Fake numbers allow fake economists to tell a fake story about what's actually happening to the country.
Okay, remember what I said about deflation next year? This is them tipping it up that they're not going to be able to use the inflation storyline into 2022. What they're going to do is this is. Remember, about this time, last year, or well, earlier in the year, quite frankly, like around, August, September of last year, when Trump was going, it's going to be a rigged election because he knew he was going to lose. This is the start of those conversations about the economic message they've been pushing.
And they've definitely been doing that.
Our economists have conveyed that they feel that the impact of our proposals will be transitory.
All of the economists that the president has been relying on suggest that there is a transitory nature to the inflation problem.
Economists call all these things transitory effects.
This inflation that we're experiencing is transitory. It is not going to be here long.
We've had several months of high inflation that most economists, including me, believe will be transitory.
We don't expect that that upward pressure will produce substantially higher prices or that the effects will be persistent. We expect that they'll be transitory or temporary.
The usual cavalcade of liars and dumb people. Maxine Waters on economic policy, please stay in your lane.
And stay in your lane. She's on committees in the Congress dictating tax policy. She's aware of the factors. But this dude, by the way, Swanson millionaire who works at Fox News, who lied about their vaccine policy repeatedly, that he's who you should listen to. The guy who just told you that the dollar is caving because they printed too much. And you'll notice him saying politicians. He won't include Trump in that. You're not going to put Trump in. You're not going to add videos of Trump saying we need negative interest rates for money.
But the last guy is regarded as very smart. His name is Jerome Powell. He is, believe it or not, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Powell has now updated his assessment, transitory, after weeks of being laughed at. He no longer uses that word, transitory, to describe inflation. Quote, I think it's probably a good time to retire that word, Powell said. Too late, Jerome. No one believes you anymore. No one ever did who was paying attention. In fact, there's only one accurate way to measure inflation, and somehow the Fed has not yet figured this out.
Here it is. Here it is. Yes, the one accurate way to measure inflation. Here it comes. It's not the consumer price index. It's not the cost of eggs in your basket. It's obviously because he's never done any of his own shopping his entire life, and all of his meals are prepared by someone else in the kitchen while he sits across the table from Matt Gaetz and a allegedly underage
yourself
woman.
What does it cost you to live in this country compared to what it cost you a year ago? It's not complicated.
Sorry, a year ago. A year ago. Not compared to what it was in 2019, before we had a pandemic. Go to the bottom of the pandemic and judge what you're paying for things off the percentage change, not the real cash change in this, the percentage change in those numbers. You have to, because if you go back to 2014, you would be paying more for gas.
Do the math and you will see that the actual number, the rise in inflation, is not even close to the 7% that Washington is claiming. In the
Yeah, 7%, that's the CPI is an index. Anybody with anything but shit for brains, or I'm sorry, Salisbury steak, same thing. At least the kind that comes, the frozen kind. I'm sure there's an original version of Salisbury steak that's just lovely. Doesn't it all taste like a wet shoe sole? Used cars, 32%. Car Guru's index. Notice how he's using the word index again, but only the used car index. All right, so let's go to this. That's an index, 32% up. Okay, Car Guru's index. Oh, I see why you're putting it there in the red with the red. Look at the red arrow going up. Because it's down 2% today. Just there. Okay, well, let's look at a month. All right, well, there's a little peak. People were buying $39.14 for the index. Is that their fund? Oh, for that's their stock. I'm sorry. Here we go. Used car price trends. There we go. Car Guru's index. Used cars, dear God. They're all doing very well. There's the index price for used cars. That's the blue line. That's the dark blue line, which is right here. Which was the average used car. Jeep, 26,000. Chevy, 27,000. Ford, 28,000. Toyota, 24,000. What are you doing? All right. So this is an aggregate. This is the index. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. See, he didn't put used cars are up 32%. Look at the giant red triangle, guys. He's not trying to manipulate you at all. So here we go. Let's see. This start date 6/15/2021. Well, let's do this 6/15/2020. And to now, update the chart. There we go. So these have gone up about $5,000. Toyotas have gone up, everything's gone up $5,000 in this time because people have about $3,000 more to pay to put a down payment. Okay. Body styles, how are they up? Now, are they all up that? Year over year, it's 32%, 0.4. Average price is $30,000 for all the cars together. In the last 30 days, it's up 2.7. If you're selling a used car last 90 days, you're going to get 7% more for that used car as people upgrade from the shitty used car they had to a less shitty used car, but not quite a new car. Let's see, what's doing really well? Because it can't, I mean, obviously, body styles, which ones are the biggies? Convertibles are not doing well. So they're only up 16%. Vans, look at that. You mean to tell me that vans, oh, fucking hell, look at this bullshit. You mean to tell me that vans were not selling when everyone was staying home last year? They're up 53% from a year ago. Because now people are going back to school and places like, all right, they had a baby during the thing. Now we got 5 kids instead of 4. Convertibles not doing it. Crossovers doing very well. Pickup trucks are up 20. I mean, honestly. Acuras are doing well. Alfa Romeos are only up 18%. So if you have an Alfa Romeo van convertible, you're fucked. Ferraris. Look at that. That's why he's pissed. You can't move a Ferrari for those kind of, I mean, granted, it started out at 182,000. You're probably making the same amount. Fiats are up 32%. Good for you, Fiat. The average price is $14,000 for a used Fiat. But you throw all these together, including Lamborghinis, they're up 15% at a price tag of $227,786, which is, now, who would look at this chart and go, let's see, I can get a Kia, but the price has gone up almost 50%. Meanwhile, the Lamborghini's only gone up 15%. I'm saving money. All right, so and these are the used cars in here, and they just put the index price, and they basically do these main four across here. Now let's go back to 2019. Let's go back to 2018. And that's cash, by the way. It's not telling us, yeah, here's the price on them. Do I have a chart that gives me the percentage change? Year over year, last 90 days. I don't want the last 90 days. Update the chart. Start date optional, end date optional. Here we go. There's 227.21. Why'd it go down? 23,000 for there, and then shaved off $100 or so. The index was beating that's interesting. So all along this point, up until January 2020, when the United States entered a recession, right in February, they announced it, we'd entered a recession. At that point, the index price for all of them, kind of aggregate, was above the line of all the other cars for whatever reason. Like it zeroed out because of Lamborghinis and shit like that. And then somewhere around this disease starts making its way into the country, 11/30/19, 12/13/19, 2020. This starts to, the Jeep starts to overtake it Christmas 2019. And then it starts to rise. Jeeps are doing very well as used vehicles. This is what I would call the prepper index. Meanwhile, Chevy and Ford overtook the index starting in January 21. Somebody reevaluated Jeeps as a good long-term buy. There you have it. Okay, but understand that's the used car index from Car Gurus. They're up 32%, unless you buy a Fiat, a convertible, or a van. In which case, the vans are up 50%, and the Fiats are only up 14%.
Last year, the price of a used car, for example, has gone up by more than 30%. Beef prices have risen by 21%. Crude oil.
Hold on, beef, CPI. Now, granted, we culled a bunch of cows last year, and Trump sold all of our beef to China in July of last year, largest order in our history, on the cheap, on a price set in the spring, before the pandemic took hold, before we started slaughtering cattle because there was no truck drivers to take them anywhere, before processing plants were shut down. 21% over last year. Okay, so let's look at this. That's a little more steady. Beef prices 2019 to 2021. See if this daily beef price. Huh? Well, my goodness. Let me shrink this out. What's happening? How is it that here's beef at $6.17 in May of 2014, and it's $5.95 now. It's 1 penny off from a peak in November of 2019. And what happened in 2020 that could have caused a crater of the price? My question is, why didn't Trump catch more shit in this leap? Where was all this clamoring about the cost of beef from whenever September 2019, it was $4.60. And 2 months later, it's over $1 more. Let's look at the 5-year. Just to track this shit up. Just take out that big spike. Look at this. No, look at November 2019. The fuck? I mean, we know what this is. March 2020, kiddos. That's COVID. What the fuck would have happened if COVID hadn't rescued Trump's beef prices? Look at that shit. $5.51. It was the high during 2020. Went back down around November. Then it started to eke up around here. Back to relatively normal prices. It's here now. $5.95. It's a penny more than it was in 2019. Without a pandemic. Because at one point, it was way down here, $3.86. And this is, by the way, not just, this is US dollars per kilogram, but this isn't just American beef. There's a lot of other stuff. Meat, beef, Australia, New Zealand, chucks and cow forequarters, frozen boneless, 85% chemical lean, CIF, US port, East Coast, ex-doc, beginning November 2002, previously cow forequarters. Currency dollars compared to coal. Look at this weird. Compared to gasoline. Beef is this. Wait a minute. Gasoline's down 4%? The hell happened? Gas October 9 is up 9.46%. Now it's down 4%. Anyways, here's the little spikes in this. Sometimes they rally and go with it, but not necessarily. Anyways, I'm now becoming like a day trader with all these details. But it is up 0.004% from May 20th. Why is this? This seems lower. Hold on. Where is it right now? Beef is up 4.39% this month. It's up 14%. Beef went up 14% in May of 2020. Cost of it. It went up 22% in November of 2019. But look at that. Beef was up 22.22%. Look at this shit. Why am I the only person doing this? This is the percentage change. Look what he's telling you. It's up 21%. Now it was down in the bottom of the barrel. Let's see. This is it at 0%. No change. These are just the changes in it. Fell off a cliff. December 2019, January 19, and then it goes back up. May 20th gets expensive, and then falls off a cliff again, down 7%. But why this spike and nobody's giving Trump shit about this? 22.22% with no pandemic, no gasoline spike. By the way, here's gas. Think anybody notices gas prices went down negative 43% in March of 2020 because no one was driving anywhere? Look at gas prices in May of 2020, up 47% in a month. Trump, what is Trump doing with money? This is what happens when you have stupid people. Fucking dumb. This is why I keep telling you all the time. If they don't give you the actual number and they just tell you a percentage, they are fucking with you.
55% dimensional lumber.
Crude oil. Hold on. Let's see. Crude oil. Let's just go with petroleum. Let's see. Crude oil versus beef versus crude oil. Yeah, here it is. Now, it's up 55%. From last year over year. But that's because it was down negative 39% last year. Now, by the way, since Tucker is using measure the length of your dick starting at your butthole type of measurements, which I have no doubt he does, Market Insider says, just Markets Insider, guys. Markets Insider. I hope she's got room. 55% up. Notice there's no date on this. Is it up 55% from last December? Here's November 2020. Rate of comparison. Because here's let's see. This is it was up 15% in December using the baseline created by its own thing. Up 15% just from there. And of course, not including this. It's actually down negative 2.61% from here in its percentage range, if you want to just use that standard. Fucking hell. It was negative. It was literally, they were selling it for negative $36 a barrel. If oil companies were like, our ships are going to sink if we don't get these barrels off the boat.
35%. Wheat,
Lumber. Really? We're still doing lumber from June? Jesus Christ. Whoop. Let's try this. Oh gosh. Is graphics like crazy? Hold on. I've here you go. Here's hold on. I need a 5-year. So here's wood. Sorry. Don't allow. There you go. Here's October 2018 or May 2018. $627 for lumber there. And then way over here, whoops. Get down. I don't need the graphics on there. I'm gonna put it here. Below 300 something in early 2020. And then October 2020, it gets to here. And then it drops down here. And then right here this is May of this year. This is when a huge amount of it had, was backed up and there was all this home buying. This is the home buying growth. And then it was, where are we? 1670. And then it went down all the way to 452. Then it went, and now it's at 1143. Now is it up 35% from here? Or is it down 35% or 50% from here? Or is it up a gazillion percent from here, but only a little bit up percent from here? Or here? What's normal? And this is all distribution. All of this. This is, no one would trade based on this idea. Because look, here's 25 years. There's no reason the home building surge and the backup where people already had houses contracted in the United States and the price of wood goes jaggedy, jaggedy, jaggedy. It's just noise. And it will steady out to about this again because it's a crop, just like anything else. So, but 35% from, if you're using June and last year and you measure the length of your crank from your butt.
7%. Sugar, 33%. Corn, 39%. Palm oil, 43%. Do you drink coffee in the morning? Ever? Oh.
By the way, the price of graphics has gone up
9%.
2,000%. Look at that. I mean, he can't even afford, that's how bad it is. He can't even afford graphics for some of the details that he's sharing with you folks. He can't, it's too expensive. Fiverr now is 10er. It's 12er. It's 15er. The more I talk about it, the more expensive it gets. Yeah, Chiron, the cost of a Chiron is up. They literally had to let the employee go who puts that shit in there, and he's just as confused. And yes, is it is it, I guess, is it in many ways, let me see if I can do this without taking up too much time. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I'll need a text. There you go. And sorry. Add a new source. 1 second. No, quit it. Let's see. Number of Tucker Carlson brain cells down 100%. There we go. And then we'll do, just do black, regular. Let's see, we'll make that font size rather large. That works for me. Take this down. I mean, sometimes you got to do this stuff on the fly, kids. You got to, if I'm doing this, if I had a team, don't forget to like and subscribe, give a thumbs up and chat. At one point I could wink at someone and they could do graphics or do what Stephanie does and go like that. And somebody else will play something, but I do this all by myself. And then probably, I don't have time for a full graphic on it. You'll just have to work with me. On here, hold on. There we go. Doink. Ta-da. I know. I don't have time to. I don't have a Fiverr account on the payroll. Don't forget to super chat and support the show. This is why I do a live graphics. I do feel free. Just hang with me for a second. I don't even have to take anything out to do this one. It's too good an opportunity to pass up. What's Tucker looking at? I don't know. His it's not so much what he's looking at, but what he hears in his own head. That's right. There you go, Tucker. That's the whole thing. Super chat time. Thank you. Yes, please support. Don't forget to subscribe. By the way, we're trying to keep our subscriptions up on Twitch, and it's the hardest one to do. We always drop below 7. Yeah, we're at the 750 mark. We try to keep it above 800, and it always dies off. So if you haven't resubscribed, please do. If you can, gift a subscription, please do. If you can become a patron, please do. And if you can super chat, please do. And if you can't, don't worry about it. Those who can will, and even if I do the show for free, which I do sometimes, I'm glad to keep doing it because it all makes us feel good. And no one else is doing this. Why is no one else pointing out this bullshit when it happens? Right? Why? What in the, how in the world? All right, let's continue, shall we? Hold on. All right.
Do you drink coffee in the morning? Ever? Oh, too bad. The price of coffee has risen 108% in the last year.
Oh my God, guys, the price of coffee is up 108%. You mean, all right. Now, why would that be? Would that be because of monetary policy and the fact that your dollar doesn't buy shit anymore? Is that what that would be? Or with, oh, right. Challenging weather. Imagine if every network actually gave a shit equally about that. That's kind of incredible. Coffee hits 10-year high as shipping bottlenecks squeeze supply. The whole world wants coffee. Coffee prices on future markets have rallied to a 10-year high, with traders dashing to lock in supplies as they contend with shipping bottlenecks and late-year rise in demand. Traders are turning to futures, products that allow them to secure deliveries at a set price, when they're unable to obtain adequate stockpiles on the physical market, where they actually exist, where they can be more selective about the product they will receive. Futures prices for higher quality Arabica beans are now commanding $2.50 a pound, almost double their level at the start of 2021. Almost double theirs at the start of 2021. Oh, what was happening at the start of 2021 besides a bunch of like the insulin insurrection? What was happening? Oh yeah, the entire economy was starting again. People were going back to work, and people were drinking a lot more coffee, and stores were opening up again. This is the 10-year high. Look at this, January 19th. Look at that. I mean, if you look at these numbers, 250 from this, the futures of it. That's, I mean, I'm sure that like coffee prices over the, let's see, coffee prices 2019 to 2021. Oh, I see. Oh, there you go. So it was, the average closing price was $1.11. It's 1.6 right now. So not quite double. The futures are double because people are trying to punch their way to the front of the line, which is what I was talking about countries with money are paying to get to the front of the line. You're tipping the bouncer. This is the tipping the bouncer in form of inflation. Year low was 93 cents during 2020, 87 cents. What? How come nobody was bitching about coffee's up? 10 cents a pound. What happened? 45 more rows. Here we go. Coffee prices, 45-year historic. Oh, well, that's no fun. Well, how am I supposed to think the world is collapsing now? Well, especially when inflation is making my dollar worth less. Oh, Rexmo, thank you so much for gifting the five tier 1 subs on Twitch. Bless you. Thank you so much. Look at that. Creating a hype train and all that. Oh, and only doing it largely because A, love, and B, who the fuck else is pointing this out? That, by the way, coffee in the great post-pandemic of 2011 was $2.88. Was like these little points are 257. The fuck was going on? Is this Reagan again? 1977, the great coffee push, $3.19 in 1977 dollars. Fucking hell. The cat poop coffee is very expensive. 249 to the, where are we? By the way, our dollar, remember, is worthless, according to Tucker Carlson. Yay, thank you guys. For the super chats, I appreciate it more than you could possibly know. The holidays are upon us. Kid needs a bicycle. I'm just saying. All right. $2.33. That's where we are right now. Is it up 100% from a dollar last year? Yeah, sure shit is. It's also up from 2000 like crazy. It's down from 2011 and 1997 and 1985 and holy shit 1977, all when the dollar was harder to come by and worth more. But who gives a shit? You gotta, who needs those kind of facts? It's year over year, guys. That's how it works. Don't you realize time starts anew economically every 12 months from whatever price I'm trying to say? We all live in the stock market now. Oh my God, my stocks are down. They've been up for 5 days, and the part that they're down is down from the up, which is still up from what I paid for it, but it's down. Yikes.
Do you like breakfast cereal? Oh, sorry. Oats are up 114%.
Oh my God, not oats. Oh, hold on. Oats prices 2018 to 2021. We're gonna have to do this with fucking everything. Yes, the oats prices, historical price, and then the oats and stuff. Here we go. Oh, they're up. They're definitely up. They're definitely up. In let's see. August 2021, they're up. They're five. Look at oats, $7.34. Now they're up from, in 2016 they were all the way down to $1.72. They were $3.56 here. Again, this dollar is worth less than the dollar that you use now, as is this one. Look at this business over here, 88. I will say that somehow oats dodged the great whatever that shit we were just looking at. Dodged the great spike in prices that we lost there. But I mean, essentially, you're seeing this arc going to here and making up for this, because this is farmers. Because farmers still have to pay their loans and their land, so they need a higher price when they've hit a hole like that, like this. Technically, this hole after they had been kind of jaggedy up for a while. By the way, when is this? This is May 2018, $2.34. And then here they were, what the hell? So hard to do. That's a huge 12% rise. All right, never mind. I mean, that's what I'm saying. They're just showing you the actual numbers. Here you go. Or the percentage without the actual number.
And those are just the numbers you see on the label at the grocery store.
Yeah.
In addition,
yeah. That's what you see on the labels at the grocery store, because Quaker Oats right now, if you buy Quaker Oats in 2019, Quaker Oats would have cost you $3.85, and now they're $3.99. But I mean, these are the old-fashioned. It's an inflation nation, guys. People don't realize.
Conventional inflation, consumers also face widespread shrinkflation. That's an informal term that economists use for the stealth shrinking of consumer products. So companies sell you less for the same price.
Yeah, Subway does this with less meat and cheese and stuff in their sandwiches because they have to keep the price the same. That's shrinkflation. That is not the case in any of the things that Tucker has been talking about at this point. A gallon of gas is precisely a gallon of gas. The size of a Quaker Oats container has not changed. And if they're not having 18 ounces in there, that's theft. That's not shrinkflation.
You bought a Snickers bar recently? If it seems a lot smaller than it used to, that's because it is. And
What? Wait a minute. Snickers bars did not get smaller this year. Why can't, hold on. How many ounces of full-size Snicker? How big the Snickers bars used to be? Okay. All right. In 1930, when the Snickers candy bar was introduced, it weighed 2.5 ounces and cost a nickel in 1930. The price didn't change for 40 years, but by the time it did, Snickers was down to a skinny 1.16 ounces, less than half its original weight. This was written in October 1981. Candy War, The Washington Post. This is 1980. Why are Snickers so small now? The weight of a Mars bar has dropped from 58 grams to 51. Snickers has gone from 58 to 48. Mars says it's encouraged people to eat more healthily and keep the number of calories containing fewer than December 16, 2013. That's shrinkflation. Yeah, from Biden's policy started in 2013. Chocolate maker Mars has reduced the size of its Mars and Snickers bar, but kept the price the same. This is 2013, by the way. This is when this came out. December 16th, 2013. December 16th, now, then. I mean, it's happening. It's not just chocolate makers. Many other food items and other items sold in supermarkets are gradually becoming smaller, but costing the same. Spokesperson for Mars says as part of a global commitment to promote responsible consumption and signatory of the Responsible Deals Calorie Reduction Pledge, we made a commitment to ensure that all our single-serve chocolate products would contain no more than 250 calories per portion by the end of 2013. To meet our commitment, having taken product reformulation as far as we can now without compromising the great taste, we have reduced the portion size of Mars and Snickers to bring down the calorie content. But that's Biden's fault. It's got to be.
Just the products you buy. Most people in this country still live indoors, and the cost of living indoors has risen.
Sorry. Most people live indoors. I see.
Dramatically. Rents in Southern California, for example, have tripled in a single year, as this recent Fox package reports.
See, that's weird, because the last I heard from Fox last year and the year before, especially in 2019 before the pandemic, is that all people were leaving California. How do people stampede out of a state and still the rents go up? He'll play this.
Inflation and migration. People from LA and Orange County moving to the Inland Empire in search of affordable housing are two reasons for the booming real estate market and the high rents in the Inland Empire. Some landlords,
oh dear God, not a booming real estate market.
more than tripled rent prices in the last year.
An apartment that is in not great area of Redlands, it used to go for $800 a month, and we just noticed that it was up for $2,600 per month. Space hasn't changed.
Right, because nobody wanted to live out there and you couldn't get into the city. And now people are like, oh, I don't have to live in the city to work, so I want a bigger place. And so they were paying what they're paying in the city for a place. They can now have, for 2 bedrooms, they can now have 3 or 4.
It's like a 2-bedroom apartment with barely any livable space.
$2,600 per month for a depressing little unit in a deeply crummy part of the state. That cost $800 a year ago. So that's what was going on in this.
Which the people that live downtown don't need to live there anymore because they can telecommute.
When Jerome Powell and Joe Biden were telling you that inflation was transitory. These people don't buy things, or are they just lying? Either way, everybody else knows exactly what's going on because it's impossible to ignore.
Americans are seeing the side effects of inflation in their budgets. General Mills even announcing they're raising the prices of some of their cereals by up to 20%.
The grand total of our
20%.
Thanksgiving dinner was $51.25, more than 20% over last year's.
20% up from last year when they did not do this. This motherfucker is having a gallon of milk. This is dinner. Dinner. That's what he just said. This segment talks about how we bought dinner for a family of 4 or something. That's a fucking turkey. That's a gallon of milk. That's a bag of peas. This is hamburger buns or rolls, brioche rolls, and a can of something else.
The dollar
the Dollar Tree is changing its name to the $1.25 tree.
Prices from $1 to $1.25 for most items. If you're lucky enough to find.
Oh, bullets are now there's bulletflation. Talk about shrinkflation.
No, you'll pay more for it.
Boo fuckity who. 50 shells is $30. That's incredible. I mean, this is obviously a plot.
This on the store shelf for about 60 to 65 cents a round when this would be normally somewhere around 20, low 20 something cents a round.
Pizzerias across the 5
Jesus Christ. Are they just trying to make us not care?
are rising the price of a slice. Dollar slices are now up to $1.50.
Those who eat with oil.
Because people have gotten raises. There's inflation around the availability of funds. And also, hey, welcome to that country where people are getting a living wage working at a pizza place.
We'll need to dig
By the way, even though things are more expensive one-to-one in the United States, your dollar is still stronger overseas, so your investments do better. But, they don't want to talk to you about that either.
for this year.
The average homeowner is probably going to pay about $500 more for the heating season than they did a year ago.
Oh, so tell us again, Joe.
Yeah. than they did a year ago? You mean when they were in multiple places?
And how inflation is at 7%. Read some more government numbers to us. One group that would never even consider believing numbers like these, crap like this, is investors. They're not looking at the consumer price index. They do this for a living, and they know exactly what dangerous inflation looks like. And that's why they're buying hard assets. You see it everywhere. The median sales price of an existing single-family home in Austin, Texas, increased 33.5% in a single year.
Now why? But yes, because nobody lived there and then a bunch of people moved in. By the way, all those Californians who were seeking cheaper rent, they're driving the price up because Austin, Texas is a long version of moving to the Inland Empire. Same people, same amount of money, want bigger space. Now, those are the non-renters who are buying a house. A lot of the houses, by the way, that person, the rental property we're seeing in the Inland Empire is while people are waiting for their house to be built. Huge amounts of development there. Austin's the same idea. National Association of Realtors, November, skyrocketing home prices compared to other places. Okay, so Austin, we have to do this for everything. Round Rock, Texas, home prices. Whoops, I can type. How much the median? Here it is. The median price of a home in Austin, Texas, is $465. This is 2021 August. While the median price in the U.S. hit $385,000 in June. Meanwhile, the typical value of a home in the state of Texas is just over $241, making Austin real estate more expensive than the national average and most of Texas. This is also the capital of Texas. Let's see. That's Motley Fool. Let's see. How much does it cost to buy a house in Austin, Texas? Is Austin real estate expensive? The Austin housing market is hot, maybe a little too hot. A new study ranked Austin housing market as the second most overvalued market in the nation, with homes selling at an average of 50% more than they should. Boise, Idaho is ranked number 1 on that list. 2 places where we can't figure out why the fuck people want to move there. But don't cherry pick the most overvalued. Oh, God damn it. You think it's an accident? You can't say Boise, Idaho, because people go, what the fuck? Are you nuts? I don't want to live in Boise, Idaho. Who gives a shit how much houses cost in Boise? What is it, Walmart own a giant factory there? What the fuck? Who cares? But Austin sounds like someplace you'd want to move to. And now it's too expensive. It's overvalued. Yeah, the bottom's going to fall out of it. And
the median price of a condo around Miami has gone up nearly 21%. Now, real estate...
Because people have more money to buy a second home and they're buying condos with their retirement funds. You do realize that's what people buy condos for. They rent them until they move into them.
The county was already wildly overheated. Now it's a bonfire. Why is that happening? Simple.
Because people have the money to buy those houses and that's where they want to move. And so they're in bidding wars with people who want to buy houses in those areas.
Are afraid. Consider equities prices. The S&P 500 is up 28% in the last year. Now, if you're looking for the real inflation rate, that's a lot closer than the CPI is going to get you. But if you want to know what people...
Wait, that's because of retail investors.
Think about money for a living. Really think about the economy and the value of the U.S. dollar. Look at the value of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is, by definition, a refuge from inflation.
Is a refuge from inflation? No, it isn't. It's a fucking shell game. And most of the people who are buying crypto we're talking to you about, I own gold because gold's real money.
People buy Bitcoin when they decide the U.S. dollar is no longer safe. What's happened in Bitcoin? It's up 164%.
Is that what it is? Traditionally, going back 100 years, is that where they go?
In the past year. Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies up 622%. So you should consider that.
Yes, because it's new and because of meme stock buys. Meanwhile, let me see. Let's see. Crypto. Let's Let's see. News. There's altcoins. There we go. Altcoins underperform as Bitcoin dips below 48K. That's not what it looks like. Hold on. Give me wait a goddamn second. What is this? What's happening? This is the Bitcoin 24-hour price chart. What? Let's see. Crypto funds fund inflows slow. Weekly crypto asset flows in U.S. When is this? There you go. 2020 to 2021 in the weeks going on. So this is all during 2020 back here. This is a giant spike whenever the fuck that is. Bitcoin, Ethereum's down. Year to date, it's up 1,525. But it's down right now at 17%. Binance, okay. Total 87.8, 65,000 in units. Alt Bitcoin roundup. Sushi jumps. These are meme stocks. These are people like retail. These are kids with Robinhood and Bit wallets buying shit.
Referendum on the strength of our economic system.
By the way, what's anybody want to tell me what Ethereum is actually worth? What's its actual worth? Like if you were standing next to someone and you were trying to buy something and they had cash and you said, I have Ethereum with anything purchasable, not just select things, but anything you wanted to buy, you had cash or you had Ethereum, which one do you think would have more value?
As judged by the people who know the system best, because that's exactly what it is. So these are major changes to the U.S. economy, and they're...
Financial journalists are ignoring inflation.
Very ominous. For financial journalists, there is no bigger story right now than this, what we just said. And yet, amazingly, these shameless hacks are studiously ignoring it. Here's CNBC's eternal financial genius telling us that, in fact, under Joe Biden, we're now entering a new economic golden age. Watch.
To me, we have the strongest economy perhaps I have ever seen. See that number this morning?
Yes, 4.6% unemployment with that many more people in the country since the best number since 1969. Jim, deflation and concern. 2022. What was I saying about a month and a half ago? What was I bringing up? There is a general feeling that because supply chains and backups and bottlenecks are the reason behind a lot of the inflation we're feeling, is that once people go, there's a lot of money to be made, they start producing more stuff, it's going to be deflationary on most of the items you're talking about. Some items you won't be able to change because there's only so much of it. Chickens can only kick out so many eggs.
It's the best in years.
Everything else?
Best in 69. We have all spotted the endless help wanted signs, the housing and apartment shortages, the tremendous demand for goods and services, a marvel to behold. Oh, people are confident about their jobs. I say fantastic. And the ability to even get better ones if they want to. They're spending more than I've ever seen, but they're doing it with cash, not on credit. They're doing so in a roaring 20s style.
Yeah, they have savings. People have savings now.
Imagine believing that. That was Jim Cramer of CNBC. So we see that tape. How should we feel about Jim Cramer's assessment?
You don't have to believe what he said. He just quoted numbers. Refute his numbers using stuff other than year-over-year inflationary percentages from a time when America was clamped down.
Of our economy. Well, it may be a little bit early to apply for a foreign passport, but it's not a good sign, not at all. It was Jim Cramer, you'll remember, who told you to buy Bear Stearns a few days before it disappeared completely.
Should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? No, no, no. Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. This is real. If there's one takeaway other than a plus 400 somebody, Bear Stearns is not in trouble. I mean, if anything, they're more likely to be taken over. Don't move your money from Bear. That's just being silly.
The stuff he was talking about ended up being bought by other people.
Don't be silly.
Bear Stearns is not in trouble. No, no, no. Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. That's what he said right before the crash. Now, in a normal country with a functioning meritocracy, anyone who said something like that would no longer be touting stocks on television. He'd be...
Oh, that's weird, because tell you what, we'll hang on to this one for next spring.
In your pool, assuming he could muster the skills to do that. And yet there he is, the same man, still televised, a living testament to our leader's suicidal tendency to reward failure. Or consider Andrew Ross Sorkin.
Wait a minute. Our leader's suicidal tendency to award failure? Our leaders? What are you talking about? Jim Cramer's not a public employee. He's not appointed by the Biden administration. Our leaders? Who the fuck are you talking about?
Consider him the smartest man on CNBC. In fact, he's about as bright as Jim Cramer is, but much oilier. Sorkin's view is that we ought to be grateful for inflation. You ought to be thankful to Joe Biden. Quote, inflation has long been seen as the economic villain. That view is changing. For those who worry about growing inequality, inflation might actually be a salve up to a point. Oh, thank you, Andrew Ross. So we're becoming Venezuela.
That's pronounced salve. S-A-L-V-E, salve.
But that's a good thing because your neighbor is going to be every bit as poor as you are. So that's the current state of the cutting edge of financial journalism in this country.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Sean. This in general, I mean, you're going to see, this is how they're going to be pushing stuff. And all you're going to hear from them is year over year this year. As soon as we end the fiscal year next year, what you're going to see is either prices will steady and they'll say this is inflation baked in, or they'll start to go down, and by percentage, they will go down a lot. And so they're going to start talking about things crashing or you know, the devaluation of goods in the American economy.
7% sugar.
It's the same BS.